exploded, stabbed, crushed. YouTube villains often die in the most gruesome ways, but sometimes they can even get off with no consequences at all. But which villains got off easy and which ones met a gruesome end? Hi, I'm JT, and this is YouTube Villain Fates, Gruesome to Most Gruesome. Alright, let's start off with the reformed villains. These villains either redeemed themselves or turned over a new leaf, becoming better people. The best villains to start off this list are Purple and King Orange from Animation vs. Minecraft. When ruling over the world of Minecraft, King Orange wanted to destroy it all for revenge on his son dying, while Purple just wanted to join him because he said they can do it together. However, they both find peace in the end, realizing they just needed each other. This is a nice, well-deserved redemption, especially since both of them experienced losing a loved one, so it feels it deserves the top spot. Alright, next up is Waluigi, specifically the SMG4 version. This Waluigi feels like he's not special, considering that Nintendo 10s did not put him in their games anymore. So Waluigi goes on a rejection fuel rampage, turning everyone into T-pose zombies. But through song, everyone manages to get through to him, and they made him realize that there's only one person who saw him as special. When they talk on the SMG3 show, Waluigi starts to feel better again, and they both hug it out, completely repairing their brotherly relationship. Okay, Eduardo from Eddsworld is up next. In his super-powered battle with Ed, he nearly kills him until Ed realizes why he hates him. And then Ed apologizes, and then Eduardo accepts it, redeeming himself and destroying the monster that was destroying the city. He does lose John too, and this is the last we ever see of him, but hopefully he's become a better person by then. Next up, we got Serpentious from Hazbin Hotel. He has made tremendous character growth throughout the series, but in the season 1 finale is where he really redeems himself. In his attempt to stop Adam ended up killing him, but he does end up in heaven, so there's at least a happy ending in there for him.
Where am I?
Alright, up next is the One from Stick World. After losing everything, he became the demon we know now, causing destruction and killing a lot of people. However, eventually his powers did get taken away, but somehow he got them back later on, and redeemed himself, saving the creator of the Stick World. Next up is F from Alphabet Lore. F has been through a lot, being bullied in his past, but when N goes back in time and defends him, the two become friends and F is no longer alone. Alright, next up is Waluigi, this time the mashed version. This guy has went on quite the killing spree, until eventually he kills Luigi's brother and Luigi goes too far trying to get his revenge. But then Shaggy steps in to save him and convinces Waluigi to become a hero. Alright, ending this category is SMG3 from SMG4. SMG3 took some time before he eventually redeemed himself, but there's a reason why he's at the bottom of this category. He doesn't really stay true to his redemption and still commits crimes sometimes, so he's at the bottom of this list. Alright, now on to the villains who got off easy. These villains either got off with no consequences at all, or barely faced any consequences. And oh boy, are there a lot of them. The Boiled One from the Boiled One phenomenon starts this category. The Boiled One is an entity that tends to interrupt broadcasts and even enters your home to give you sleep paralysis. It's done this to multiple victims, and what happens? It received no consequences at all in the end. Next is DJ Halibou. In his pursuit to kill Joey, eventually he actually wins and kills Joey. We don't see Halibou receive any consequences at all, and it's only a matter of time before he targets someone else who decides to pirate Mario Party.
Piracy is no party.
Alright, next up is Purple Girl. In the beginning of the animation, she breaks out of prison and causes all kinds of mischief for the police. And at the end of the animation, we see her leaving the crime scene, getting away with everything. She's bound to get arrested again, but she can easily break out again. Next up is Berserk Mario. This version of Mario goes around mutilating other enemies and killing almost everyone in the Mushroom Kingdom, but he doesn't get any consequences for his actions. Next up is Mr. Winkle from SML. He does a lot of creepy stuff throughout the series, but later on he kidnaps a student and actually gets away with this crime. We don't see him again after this either. Alright, next is Miss Circle. As we all know, she likes to eat students who fail her class, and pretty much gets away with it, but by default. because the creator decided to stop making FPE content because of the toxic internet community. Next up is Principal Steinbeck from SML. As we know, Steinbeck is a terrible principal, beating up his students, threatening them with violence, and making them feel like they're in a prison, all with no consequences at all for his actions. Alright, next is both Secret History Tales and Dream Girl Amy. Both of them have done some heinous and awful things, but they both come into agreement once Tails offers to take Amy to see the real Sonic. Next up is the Lone Dolphin from SML. This dolphin is a very dangerous criminal who's done all kinds of jobs for other people, but also sells illegal substances on the street. He usually gets away with a lot of these crimes. Okay, now we're getting to Vox and Valentino from Hazbin Hotel. They both work in the same business together, with Vox scheming and selling his tech, and with Valentino abusing Angel and forcing him to obey. As expected, they both get no consequences at all, but that's mostly because it's just season 1 so far. Alright, next up is that vegan teacher. As we know, she's a really annoying YouTuber who keeps harassing other people for not being vegan. And I'm pretty sure we can all agree that it's annoying that she faces no consequences for this. Next, we got Van Quarterville and Egan. There isn't much to say about them other than Van Quarterville being an average corrupt politician and Egan being a sadistic criminal, with both no consequences for either of them. Next up are Secret History Cuphead and Mugman. They both used to be government soldiers until they ended up becoming what they are now. Then they betray the government and then start up the machine, bringing the devil into the real world, causing so much destruction. Next is Speaker from BFDI. Being the host of the game show BFDI, Speaker has put his contestants in all kinds of danger. At the end of BFB, he nearly ended the world of BFDI, but he doesn't get punished for this at all. Next up, we got Suction Cup Man from the Suction Cup Man series. Suction Cup Man is a big menace, always climbing stuff with his suction cups, and doesn't face any consequences for it at all, aside from minor cartoon slapstick.
You can't kill Suction Cup Man! Look at me go!
Next is Mordecai Heller from Lackadaisy. As we know, he's a dangerous criminal who likes to smuggle alcohol and hunts down our heroes for most of the episode. But after all the hell he's been through in the episode, he finally just decides to let them go. Next is Stella from Helvabosh. She's gotten away with hiring a hitman to kill her husband, to dethroning her husband and taking over his royalty. But, however, she might not be getting any consequences till later on in the series. Next up, we got Sar from Solarballs. After tricking Astro Dude into gathering an army for him so he can take over space, we see him fly off into space, never to be seen again. We don't know if he succeeded or not, but he most certainly got off very easy. Next is Mammon from Hell of a Boss. Mammon likes to exploit all his stars, however when Fizz really decides to make a song dissing him and saying he quits, Mammon gets furious. However, Osmodius decides to intervene and stand up for Fizz. Mammon doesn't receive any major consequences other than just simply losing his star that he can easily replace. Next is Lord Melicion from Evolution Quest. After being freed from his stone prison, he starts to invade the entire kingdom and tries to steal the Rainbow Star. Since there's only 3 episodes in the series and more in development, he obviously gets no consequences. Next up is Frank from the Subway Surfers series. When doing important government work, we realize he's actually stalking Jake everywhere, and then ends up putting Jake on a hit list for seeing everything he's done. This is the last we ever see of him. Next up is Uncle Samsonite. Being a creature known for eating the souls of children, he doesn't really get any consequences, especially since the series hasn't finished yet. Alright, up next is Secret History Mario. He has done so much awful things when ruling over the Mushroom Kingdom, and eventually just decides to destroy it all for a fresh new start. Next is Lawyer Kong from SMG4. Losing the court case is really all he ever gets as consequences, and this just makes him want to quit his job as a lawyer for Nintendo entirely. Alright, let's talk about Phone Guy from FNAF the Musical. Despite the pizzeria getting caught in an explosion and them thinking he's dead, he still is alive and is still out there somewhere. Okay, next is Kara from Monkey Wrench. Despite getting humiliated 2 times, we have to remember she's still a relentless assassin, and it might take a little more than that to keep her down. Next is Bryson from Animations. Bryson has done a lot, mostly killing people. He faces consequences sometimes, but barely any. Next up is One from Number Lore. Similar to Melissa, just like him, he is not going to face any consequences until the series is finished. Next is Striker from Helva Boss. Despite getting caught up in a fiery explosion, he's still alive and kicking, and he's probably still out there somewhere. Next up is Mr. Puzzles and Mr. Weapons. Because I don't want to spoil the new SMG4 movie, I'll just say that there's conflict that happens between these two, but the thing is, they don't face any further consequences other than that. Okay, next up is Jack Doherty. This guy is known for being super obnoxious, and that's what led to his girlfriend breaking up with him. And she used to make him billions. However, this is pretty small, so he gets off easy. Next up is Ganymede and Europa from Solarballs. Despite getting badly damaged in the final fight, they both eventually face no consequences. Even though a speech was made to prove that moons are just as important as planets, they pretend to play along and just leave peacefully. Nearing the end of this category is Alistair from Hazbin Hotel. In the final fight against the Angelic Attack, he fights Adam but nearly dies due to it and has a mental breakdown. He got off extremely easy, especially since he almost died. Ending this category is the Terror from the Terror series. Despite dying, he manages to cheat death and is still out there committing all kinds of serious crimes and enslaving people. The Terror got off extremely easy. Next is the Brutal Defeats. These villains didn't die, but they most certainly aren't getting off easy. First up is Zoe from Music Freaks. When she attempted to blackmail Jake, this plan ultimately failed because her friend shared the audio with the music club, but then again, she still got to enjoy Jake's suffering with how bad things got. But then Jake gives a public speech and apologizes, and now the music club forgives him, and Zoe can't enjoy his suffering anymore. It's a simple defeat. It was barely a punishment for Zoe, hence why it's this low. Next is Clayton from Simon Brea. His defeat is simple too, but there's more to it. After getting knocked out by Simon's mom again, while Clayton might wake up soon, Simon's mom says that they're gonna move far away from Clayton, which means he won't be able to target them anymore because they're gone once he wakes up.
I don't want to be anywhere near Clayton or his crazy mom for that matter. Excuse me!
Next is Day Out Mario from Luigi's Day Out. After getting Luigi killed multiple times, he finally gets karma once Luigi trips him down the stairs and he breaks his back. Not only that, but his friends don't see him as cool anymore, which really hurts his social image. Next up is Bowser from Nintendo High. Unlike Day Out Mario, he received way more punishment. Not only did he get hurled out of Nintendo High, but it was in front of the whole school, which is a lot of humiliation. Plus, he most likely would get expelled for taking over the entire school. Next up is Cookie Monster from Jaden and Billy Adventures. After his rocket gets deactivated, he's then defeated by Jaden, who pushes him into a vat of cookies. He most likely got arrested for his crimes and is doing time behind bars, but we don't know. Ending this category is EDP445. After getting exposed on a sting operation, his channel gets deleted off of YouTube completely. There are rumors that says he's either in a dead-end job or in jail, but either way, he's not doing good. Next up are the imprisonments. These villains were either arrested or imprisoned in some kind of way. First is Marty from SMG4. He has been arrested one time in WatchFee 2023, but then eventually breaks out and gets arrested again later on. He's most likely to not get out of jail considering we never see him again. Next is the Illuminati from Cartoon Fight Club. In a battle with Nyan Cat, she opens a portal and kicks him into it, trapping him on a planet. He says he will return soon, but it's been a while and I doubt that will happen. Next up is Leon Worthington from Caillou and Gina the Super Movie. After the big fight, we actually see him get arrested. We don't know how long his prison sentence will be or if he'll actually get his revenge, but he's gonna be doing some time behind bars. Next is the Seeker from Among Us Hide and Seek in real life. When chasing after Orange, Purple presses the emergency meeting button and they both vote him out, locking him in a cell like he did to everyone else. We don't know what they plan to do with him after he's locked up, but he's gonna be in there for a while. Next is Level Down from the Level Up channel. After Level Up escapes the void between worlds, he jumps on Level Down's head and he falls into a black void. While he may be trapped there, he may at least be able to escape considering the powers he has. Next up is Johnny Somali. He's experienced way more than just getting arrested. For instance, the Korean government decided to take his filming equipment and even looked at his other offenses so they can land some charges on him. Not only that, but apparently his parents also disowned him, which has to be a hard pill to swallow.
My dad, the other day, I was like, do I really cause you that much stress? And my dad told me, you caused the whole world stress. I'm ashamed to be your father.
All while being said to be doing time in prison in South Korea. Next up is Damian Cooper from SpongeBob in real life. After thinking he won, he comes to realize that there's a world where humans and cartoons get to live together and coexist, which has to be a nightmare for him considering he hates cartoons. Not only that, but he also gets arrested, but he has way more to lose considering his successful business would most likely get shut down due to him being in jail, a family business that he lost, leaving him penniless and in jail. Ending this category is Star from SMG4. After a portal opens, he's pulled in by a perverted star. His fate is way worse here considering he has a star that's pretty much gonna do some stuff to him while he's trapped in that void. Next are the villains that are left in injury. These villains are injured in some fatal way and are currently taking the time to heal. First is Sonic.exe from Boombuster Animation. When attempting to steal the Chaos Emerald from Eggman, he gets in his Death Egg robot and crushes Sonic.exe under him, causing him to go flying in space while there's a big hole in his chest. He is still alive, but who knows how long it'll take him to heal. Meanwhile, he's gonna be floating around in the cold depths of space. Next up is Bob from Spooky Month. In his pursuit of Skid and Punk, he gets shot by the police multiple times and then gets run over by the car multiple times. However, it might take him not that long to heal considering he has an amulet under a sweater, which is magic, so it might take him less long to heal. Ending this short category is Tord from Eddsworld. After Tom shot a harpoon through the engine of his giant robot, it explodes and Tord somehow survives the wreckage. But he's badly burnt, which might take longer to heal considering the injury, especially the amount of pain he's probably in. Alright, now we're on to the unknown fates. These fates are so unknown that we can't be sure if these villains are dead or not. First is Gummy Goo from the Amazing Digital Circus. And yes, I know he got deleted by Kane and no longer remembers anything, or Pomni, but here's the thing. Due to Kane glitching all the time, we don't know if Gummy Goo either died from the glitching or is still somewhere in the digital circus. Next up is Future Ed from Eddsworld. After Matt is given the time machine and told to go back in time to save them, instead he goes back in time and becomes the creator of everything. We don't see what happens to Future Ed after Matt does this. He could either have been erased or even arrested, but it's never shown. Next is Roy from Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. After Red Guy unplugs the whole machine, resetting the whole timeline, we don't see what happens to him either. We can assume that he was possibly erased or something, but we don't know. It's completely unknown. Ending this category is Lego Dream from Brickverse. After Carl comes back for him, the real Dream manages to regain control and the other Dream is gone for good as he sits. But we don't know how he's gone. Either he just disappeared or is somewhere at peace, but we don't know. Okay, now we're on to the villains who drowned to death, and surprisingly, there's only one. Admiral S. Swipe from SMG4. After a hole is poked in his submarine, it starts to flood and even sinks. We don't see what happens to him, but he was on the ship, so he most likely drowned to death. It ranks here because, while drowning's not that gruesome, it is a common fear that a lot of people have. Alright, next are the villains who were simply shot to death. Starting off is the Spy from Emesis Blue. During Archibald's funeral, he gets shot to death by Ludwig, and that's really just it. It's a simple shot to the face, while the other shots are more fatal and more gruesome. Next up is the Neighbor from If Hello Neighbor Was Realistic. In this death, a gun is picked up and he's shot in the stomach. It's more gruesome due to the fact that there's so much blood, but we still got more gruesome ones to look at. Next up is Does Bad Things Guy from SML. When trying to kill Mario, Rosalina, and Jeffy, eventually the real broken guy shoots him in the head, causing it to explode. Yeah, this is more gruesome, but we still have one more. Finally, ending this category is Nancy from SML. After kidnapping a bus full of kids, she tries to kill Brooklyn Guy only to get hit and then shot multiple times to death by Brooklyn Guy. This is more gruesome due to how bloody it is and the fact that it took multiple shots. Okay, let's move on to more painful deaths. These villains were stabbed to death. Next is Adam from Hazbin Hotel. After getting badly beat up, he's eventually stabbed in the chest by Nifty. This fate isn't that gruesome considering Adam didn't have to suffer that long. Ending this category is Devil Mario from the Power Star series. After the real Mario gains control, he stabs himself in the chest, killing Devil Mario in the process. Given how long that goes on, you could see why this fate is more gruesome. Now onto the villains that were crushed to death. First up is Flower from BFDI. After destroying the recovery centers, she ends up getting crushed by a UFO, which is a really painful death. But we got deaths that are way more painful in this category. Next is the Muse from Don't Feed the Muse. After Alex breaks free from the Muse's control, he steps on him, crushing him with his foot, killing him entirely. Yeah, this isn't up that high considering some villains get crushed by bigger objects. Next is Crimson from Helva Boss. After Blitz and Fizzroy escape, they eventually knock down the entire warehouse, crushing Crimson entirely. This fate is definitely gruesome, but here's the thing. We don't know if he died or not, and he could possibly have survived and appear in another episode. So that's why it's here. Next is Evil Leafy from BFDI. When chasing after Book and Ruby, she eventually gets crushed by a giant heavy ton, which immediately ends her life, just like that. However, there's still one more death that could beat it. Ending this category is Stalingrad from Emesis Blue. In his final moments when he least expects it, a flaming building falls down, crushing him entirely. Yeah, this definitely killed him, and it has to be the most gruesome in this category. Alright, these villains simply fell to their deaths, which is a common death for most Disney villains as well. First is the CEO from Gametoons. After Catnap is saved, the CEO is grabbed by a claw and pulled out of the business and then dropped onto the ground. There isn't much to this death, the only real thing that would kill him is the impact. Next is Carl from Llamas with Hats. After ending everything in the world, he decides to jump off a bridge and landing in some water, which kills him effectively. This is a very effective way to die, but it was intentional, which takes away from its gruesomeness. Time to end this category with Airy from 1. When not being too careful, he falls down a waterfall and lands onto some pointy rocks. This is more gruesome because he hits something very sharp on the way down, which has to be the most painful way to die. Okay, now we're on to the villains who got eaten alive. First up is Robofish from Helva Boss. In the big battle with IMP, he gets gobbled up by a dragon in one swallow. Yeah, this is pretty quick, and not to mention he probably can't feel any pain due to being a robot, but this is where he ranks. Next up is Roman Torchwick from RWBY. In his final moments, he gets eaten up by a Grim, which also swallows him whole, but he didn't have to suffer for that long considering it swallowed him. Ending this category is Darkiplier from Markiplier. After forgetting to feed his dog, the dog decides to eat him instead, and we could tell his death was way more painful due to the fact that the dog was chewing on him. So this has to be the highest up here. Alright, now on to the painful deaths. These villains either suffered a lot before they died, or they died in a very painful way. First up is Springtrap from Indie Cross. Not only does he lose his new powers, but he also gets badly beaten to death by both Frisk and Glamrock Freddy. He slowly dies, but here's the thing. This is Afton we're talking about. He always comes back, but we're not sure if he will or not. Next is Evil Mr. Beast from Avocado Animations. As he gets the moon ready to crash into the earth, Chris beats him up so much, landing so many punches on him, causing him to bleed. However, he's not bothered by this at all, but this is a painful way to go out. Next is Niles from SMG4. After SMG0 convinces him to let go, he decides to stop and goes to heaven with his friend, all while burning to death. This is a rank high because he's not really suffering in his last moments. Next up is Evil Luigi from Teedle. After Tito escapes his cell, evil Luigi tries to stop him, only for Tito to hit him with a supercharged punch. Given how strong it is, it most likely killed him, then leaving him in a lot of pain, given how the Super Smash Bros. Punches are strong. Next up is Baron Robotnik from Mashed. He was already in a lot of pain before he died, with the monster trying to take him over and whatnot, only to have to transfer it over to Sonic and rotting to death, but he was at peace at that point. Next up is Santa Claus from Eddsworld. After coming back to get his revenge, he ends up getting curb stomped to death by Tom, which is very painful, especially since how fast it was. Next is Sin from Murder Drones. After Uzi eats the black hole, Sin starts to slowly melt away. This has to be a very painful death given how slow it plays out. Next up is the engineer from Spy's Disguise. When trying to kill the spy pulls out his gun, shooting a crane that's carrying a log, which crushes the engineer, causing him to get decapitated in the process. Next up is No Visor from Among Us Logic. In the final battle of Player, he eventually gets stabbed in the chest and eventually cut in half, which has to be excruciatingly painful. Alright, on to racist Mario. In the fight with Kratos, he ends up losing and getting his head cut off and placed on a spike, which has to be really painful. Next up is Clone Riggy from Danno Draws. In the Shorts Wars battle, he eventually gets cut up by a katana with multiple slices and eventually dies, which has to be a painful way to go out for him. Next is Francis from SMG4. In his death, he gets put into one of his machines and eventually it gets turned on and slowly sucks all the life out of him, which is not only terrifying but completely painful. Ending the category is the Big Bad Wolf from Fairy Tale Analog Horror. When entering the pig's house, the house gets lit on fire with him inside, with him slowly burning to death. This is the highest spot since he gets burned to death, and it's a very painful and slow death. Alright, we finally made it to the final category. I think these deaths are personally the most gruesome out of all of them. These villains died by exploding. Starting this category off is Saxton Hill from Meet the Amazing Pyro. In the fight with the Pyro, he gets pushed off his building and lands on his back. But that's not all that kills him, because there's a grenade that drops and explodes, killing him. But this is the least gruesome in this entire section because the rest of his body is still left. Next up is Steve Cobbs from Inanimate Insanity. When getting his hands on the Shimmer Egg, it turns out to actually be fake, but it's too late for him to escape now because it explodes on him and kills him, turning himself into popcorn. However, his body is still there from the explosion. Next up is the Sword Demon from Stick World. In this battle, she gets launched back and onto a trident which fully stabs her through the chest. But not only that, but with a lot of power, she ends up getting exploded to death, but the only thing that remains is her head. Next is Sir Benedict Cumbersnatch from Sunset Paradise. When trying to escape by hitting eject, his hovercraft explodes instead by overheating and he dies. However, he didn't spend his last moments suffering because he thought he was going to escape. Next is Evil Computer from the Daily Object Show. When Computer comes back to life, he kills Evil Computer by using his angelic powers, which causes a big bright explosion which kills him completely. He did spend a few moments of terror before he died, but not that much. Next up is Nazo from Nazo Unleashed. In the final battle, he ends up getting his powers taken away slowly in a very painful death, before eventually getting exploded completely, dying in a huge explosion. He spent more time suffering than Evil Computer, so this is why he's higher. Okay, we're finally in the top 3. The bronze medal of gruesomeness goes to Malchus Malish from Triangle vs. Monkey. In the final battle, he eventually gets stabbed through the chest with the iron bar, and not only that, he's trapped his mech suit with a grenade in it which explodes, killing him. The mech explodes too, so there's clearly nothing left of his body. The silver medal of gruesomeness goes to Dr. Agnes from Monkey Wrench. This death is more gruesome than Malchus because here's the thing, before she explodes, she gets cut in half, which is way more gruesome than getting stabbed. And not to mention, the explosion had to have been the end of her completely. Okay, finally, the gold medal of most gruesomeness for the most gruesome YouTube villain death goes to the Dark Lord from Animation vs. Animator. This death deserved the title of most gruesome due to the fact that he literally gets lasered so much before eventually exploding. Seriously, the suffering goes on for so long due to how painful it is to get shot by lasers and eventually explode. So there you have it, the Dark Lord gets the most gruesome YouTube villain death in all of YouTube. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please tune in for more of my videos and please consider subscribing to my channel.